Hello and welcome to TableTalk Friday, your weekly dose of D&D banter between three lads in a bedroom. If you like their style, make sure to follow them on whichever podcast service you prefer, and come back every Friday for another upload. Now, back to the boys.
Well,
it could be anything though. Because they talked about I don't want to fucking talk about this. I don't know if we're touching on episode stuff, but I'm getting really into it.
What's up, gang, and welcome to this episode, this extra special episode of Table Talk Friday. This is probably coming out on a Monday, so
Table Talk Monday.
Table Talk Monday, patent pending. We're gonna go through this new book that came out, Fizban's Treasurer Fizban, as Zach calls him. Treasury of Dragons. It's a brand new Wizards of the Coast 5e bestiary, whatever you want to call it, lore book. But it's a new official guide to dragons.
Yep. So, I guess we can just jump right in and start talking about...
I'd love to talk about, first impressions.
Yeah, so, first of all, the most important thing, I think we can all agree... character options are present in here, and I think overall this book is very much in line with what Wizards of the Coast usually does, which is and ever since after the Monster Manual, they always release just a few character options in whatever books. So Volo's Guide to Monsters had the different character races, and then Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes had some options for tieflings and that sort of thing. So they always try and throw them in there. Fizban's has it as well. So the main things that they're adding are variant Dragonborn, which is cool. So they've got different types. So rather than choosing your bronze or red or that sort of thing, and just having that be the only qualifier there, they actually split it up between chromatic Dragonborn, metallic Dragonborn, and then the new gem Dragonborn, which is really cool as well. Additionally, gem dragons are sort of a big focal point of the book in general, and we'll sort of get into that as we go. But I think that these character options are pretty solid. They also add two new sub-races as well. The new dragon flavored monk, the Way of the Ascendant Dragon, and then the Drake Warden Ranger, which are both interesting subclasses that we can get into in a second here. But what are sort of our thoughts on the new race options?
I'm a fan of the new abilities they're giving to Dragonborns right now. I mean, as far as the changes to breath weapons that have been made, as well as giving each one a specific ability. That being I like the chromatic Dragonborn's ability, the one where they can make themselves immune at 5th level to whatever damage type they're what's a good word for it? Whatever damage type they represent. So whether it's
heritage, if you will?
acid, lightning, poison, fire, cold for chromatic dragons, whichever one, you can just be immune to that for 1 minute. If you use this ability. And I just find that pretty rad.
Well, yeah, because dragons are inherently, pretty much any full dragon that you run into is going to have immunity, so it's cool to have that full functionality as a Dragonborn. Also, additionally, just across the board, the Dragonborn's breath weapon has been buffed just a little bit. So
it scales now.
Yeah, and it scales a lot. It used to scale as well, but it just wasn't very viable.
Yeah.
And now you can, I believe, you can replace one of your attacks using your attack action with the breath weapon. So if you have extra attack, you're not wasting your whole action to just do the breath attack, which is pretty powerful there. I'm actually I'm a big fan of the Gem Dragonborn flavor overall. I like the psionic mind thing that they've got going on, but also at 5th level they get a brief flight, which I think is kind of the thing that you want out of your dragon-flavored character.
I think it's cool. I feel like it's, much akin to the... what other race has that flying ability for a minute?
Aasimar.
Aasimar. I mean, it's kind of akin to that. I like that the Gem Dragonborn has it, but I can't see myself using it that often in flavor. So, that ranks a little lower for me. I'm I think Gem Dragonborns are cool, and would I play one? Yeah, probably, but... I don't think I would play it because I'm like, oh, I can fly for a minute.
Yeah, and then the Metallic Dragonborn also have their special feature. They have an enhanced breath weapon. Overall, I feel like this is probably the weakest of the three options, but it's not terrible. So each creature in a cone, you can either make it so that each creature must make a Constitution saving throw or become incapacitated until the start of your next turn, meaning that they can't take actions or bonus actions. So you pretty much knock out a whole turn for them, or they get pushed back 20 feet and are knocked prone whenever you use your breath weapon.
Which is pretty strong. That's pretty dang strong right there.
Yeah,
I think it's cool. Knowing that I've played a Dragonborn before and that I've never used a breath weapon like willingly, I'm like, well, it's cool. I like that it's there, but
it's
the one that I would definitely use the least.
Yeah, but that said, maybe, and we haven't play tested this, so we can't say for sure, but I imagine the breath weapon would be seeing a lot more use with this variant version of Dragonborn, just because they give you more options to actually use it. So that's neat. Personally, I'm also not a big fan of Dragonborn in general. I don't love playing them, so this has revitalized the whole option for me, so I might give it another look.
Actually try it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've played Dragonborn in the past under different circumstances, but
it was forced circumstances, though.
yeah. But yeah, maybe I'll give it another look. The main thing that I'm excited about, just from the player side, is the new subclass options. Specifically, the Way of the Ascendant Dragon Monk is super cool. So you're a monk who's either been trained by a dragon or has, some dragon energy inside of them. Maybe like a sorcerer, they've got dragon's blood in their heritage or whatever. But this is... I'm surprised that it's taken this long for this specific flavor of monk to show up, because that's just very iconic. Like, you think of the the Path of the Dragon as a fighting style, and a monk inspired by dragons is just super flavorful. So they get a breath weapon attack as well. It's not necessarily it comes out of their mouth, though. It's just sort of like a cone or line of whatever elemental type.
I try to imagine this very Avatar: The Last Airbender-y, where they just where the firebenders actually punch forward in their elements. Mm-hmm. I kind of imagine it in that way, just because I think that's super rad.
yeah, and I like their flavorful stuff too. They get they can add a bonus, I believe. Yeah, you can use a reaction to re-roll a failed intimidation or persuasion check.
Which is super cool.
Yeah, and you can keep doing that until you turn a failure into a success, and then can't use that again until a long rest. You also can change your unarmed strike damage to just do whichever damage type you want, so acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. And that's just for all of your unarmed strikes, which is pretty cool, especially if you're running into monsters that are weak to fire or whatever. It'd be nice to just turn on that option. All right.
Maybe if you were in hell or something.
Yeah, it'd be super handy.
That would never happen. I think with those new additions, we maybe will end up seeing some Dragonborn bards, perhaps, or some Dragonborn monks. That'd be pretty cool. I feel like it's not a very common combination of class and race that you would see in most games.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't seen a lot of Dragonborn monks, but I mean, it would be super cool to have someone with dragon blood in their heritage who's actually fighting using all of that, those abilities that would come with being having a bloodline that is draconic.
Yep. Other cool just tidbits about the Ascendant Dragon Monk before we move on. They can use their Step of the Wind to get a flying speed until the end of their turn, which I think is super awesome, because really as a monk, they also have their slow fall. So I'm just imagining a monk who skyrockets up into the air for a second.
Uppercuts a giant in the chin.
Yeah,
and then slow falls.
Yeah, exactly. You just elect to stay up in the air and then fall back down slowly.
I thought that was super cool, too. I was like, this would actually make Step of the Wind get some use.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is so cool.
Because when I played Schmidt, I would use Step of the Winds a good bit, but I never see anybody else use it nowadays. And man, I would love to see that dragon uppercut is what gets me. I would just love to see someone or just running and just jumping to the top of a cliff with Step of the Winds like that.
Oh. So you can, wait, so hold up now. With monks, we can fly around, right? We can just fall off cliffs. We can run up cliffs. We can do anything you need to do, basically, with a monk. Anywhere you need to get, you can get there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, perfect.
I mean, they're the hypermobile fighter.
I guess they really are. I feel like we've seen recently a lot more things that can fly nowadays, because over in Witchlight that came out not too long ago, we have the fairies. Now we have the Twilight Cleric that has some flying abilities. We have this Dragon Monk that can fly. The new Dragonborn can fly. There's just a lot more flying, which is cool. I feel like not a lot of people use that.
Well, I think that before it was kind of viewed as a little too strong that you can fly all the time. But nowadays, it's not really viewed that way. I'm like, okay, if my character can fly, I'll just, work around it. It's not that hard to work around a character that can fly, but...
You're saying, like, as a DM,
if
one of your players can fly.
Yeah, as a DM, if one of my players can always fly, you got to work around that. You got to design a dungeon that... if it's got verticality involved, they no longer have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm. But there's multiple ways to handle that. Ideally,
super gravity.
Yeah, or put them in close quarters, so there's nowhere that they could benefit by flying around to. You could even throw that on its head, where maybe you want a character who can fly for this specific circumstance.
I was thinking maybe even design spots where they need a person who can fly.
Yeah.
Or design your dungeons befitting to that player, because I don't want to handicap my player for having a cool creative idea that involves flying.
Yeah.
Well, you got to keep in mind, flying already comes with the downside of they're in the air. If they end up getting knocked out, that's an automatic death save. If they end up anything happens where they can't fly anymore, they're going down.
Yeah.
So there's already the automatic downsides of that.
Yep.
But imagine the new monk. You have a huge 100-foot gap. They use their Step of the Wind. They throw themselves over the cliff, but their flying ends at 60 feet. So now they have to do a front flip, and right before they hit the ground, they start their slow fall, all the way to get to the other side and catch it. That's just so cool.
Well, plan a monk now.
Yeah, and so full disclosure, next character I make, I'm gonna use this Way of the Ascendant Dragon. I just think it's so cool.
Yeah.
Other stuff they get an aura at 11th level that can have a frightful presence that you'd expect from a dragon, or resistance. And at 17th level, they enhance their aura. Their breath gets more powerful. They get blind sight, and they do an explosion when they activate their 11th level aura.
Yeah, and we don't need to go through every single detail in the book. But I mean, overall, I think the new monk is really cool. I think it's awesome. I might use it at some point, but there are other monks that I'd like to play right now, so it'll probably be on the back burner until I play another one. But I think overall, new monk is cool. Let's move on to that ranger.
Yep. So perhaps my favorite class is the ranger. That might be a controversial thing to say. We've talked about it before, but yeah. I've had a lot of great experiences with playing rangers.
Rangers are fun.
Yeah, so I love the flavor of this. It's like a Beastmaster, except you have a not a full dragon. They call it a drake, but it's a draconic creature that eventually grows. It starts out small, eventually becomes medium, and then at 17th level, it's finally large enough and strong enough to carry you on its back and fly with you.
Yeah.
I really like the goal there. So yeah, you can imagine a whole campaign where you're a character.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, who's gonna grow over this time with this dragon that they have, and you get a strong bond. I'm thinking the Aragon books that I read as a teen. I was really into that, where you're a dragon rider in training.
Yeah.
And it's all about growing.
How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah.
I mean, the classic.
Yeah, exactly. So it's that flavor, which it's awesome. It's a fairly powerful option. I think it's better in almost every way than the Beastmaster, which kind of sucks for people who like that.
No, I mean, I think the new Beastmaster is still great, and you can change out your animals as you go and everything. But if you are looking specifically for a dragon, well...
Yeah. My one complaint about it... you know what? It's not at 17th. It's at 15th level that it becomes large. But you do have to wait until 15th level before you can ride on your dragon.
No, I think it was 7th level.
No. 7th level, it gains the ability to fly, and you can ride it as a mount, but it cannot fly while you're riding it.
What?
Yeah, so they don't give you that option.
Yeah, it says while you are riding your Drake, it can't use the flying speed of this feature.
Yeah.
So weird.
Now, I'm okay with that for the flavor of it. Like, you're raising your dragon, it can't yet fly. You know, it's big enough to carry you, but not to fly with you. But what is very weird to me, though, is I can just go purchase a griffin or like a hippogriff. If you know of a city that uses them, you can find a trainer. You can do those things in your campaigns. I've done it before for my players. So the fact that you can get a mount that can fly, but your dragon can't fly, kind of sucks a little bit. But I honestly wouldn't knock points against it for that. For me, just because I already think like it's pretty cool, pretty powerful, and if you can already like fly on your dragon too, I mean, being a ranger, being as strong as you would be on its back, that is pretty powerful.
Yeah, and it does track sort of with other features that would allow you to do something similar. So the thing that comes to mind is Find Greater Steed is a 4th level spell. As a paladin, you're not going to get that until, 13th level?
Something like that, yeah, that's true.
So I think the idea here was probably not to step on the toes there too much.
Yeah.
Like, not make the paladins too upset about what? This was a cool thing that only we had, and now rangers get it at 7th level, so it makes sense to lock it behind such a high level. It's not super overpowered, though. Overall, a cool class in general, though. You can do some cool stuff with your Drake. I believe it can infuse its elemental type in some of your attacks. I'm imagining like a ranger that knocks an arrow, and then the Drake just like spits a bout of fire, and then you shoot the arrow through it and then into your enemy, something like that.
What is really weird to me though is they could have put it behind a weight limit or something, like unless it's like unless you're 50 pounds or less. If you're wearing heavy armor, no way that thing's picking you up. But if you're like a gnome and you're wearing light armor as a ranger, I feel like it could carry you, right?
Yeah, well, and that was sort of my thought as well. And I think it's a little strange because, as far as I'm aware, usually to mount a creature, it has to be one size category larger than you. But when your Drake becomes medium, you can ride it even when you're medium. I almost feel like if you're a small creature at that point, you should be able to ride it. But it makes sense that they wouldn't want, because if that were the case, only small creatures would ever choose this class.
Right, I get it, but at the same time, when I think about it, I'm just like, everything needs to make sense to me in D&D. We said that in the last episode, and when we talked about dungeons, I want everything to make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me the way it's worded.
I agree.
I think maybe based on the fact that they do it at 17th level, we all just talked about, fly's not that powerful. You should be able to do it a little bit earlier. It is on par with the leveling of some sorcerers or tempest clerics that do get that innate ability to fly around that level. I think it's like 15, 18-ish.
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of balanced.
My problem isn't the balance. My problem is not the balance at all. I think you're right. I think that's why they did it the way it is. But it needs to make sense to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if it's big enough to carry me as a small creature, and if it's any other creature that's medium and can fly, I can ride on it. Why can't I ride it now?
Mm-hmm. I think looking past the fly thing, though, most importantly for this ranger is they played on one of the coolest aspects of a ranger is having a friend, which is the Beastmaster, the Drake Warden now, the Swarm Keeper, having something that you work with that's alive, that you're just kind of like
it's very cool.
Teammates, Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the coolest aspects of it, and they played on it. So, bravo to it. It's a cool class.
It's very cool. As far as feats and stuff go, they have a couple of gifts of the Chromatic Dragon, Gem Dragon, Metallic Dragon. These are all cool little ways to add in a little bit more flavor to your character based on what type of Dragonborn you are. These are, I believe, strictly Dragonborn.
They're not.
No?
Nope. So it's extended to anyone, which is cool.
Oh, okay.
I think that's a nice way to throw in a little bit of flavor on if you're choosing a Draconic-based class like Dragon Sorcerer. Or one of these two options.
And
one of these would fit in great. Or
can I tell you how to just absolutely break your game as a wizard?
Yeah.
Choose the gift of the Metallic Dragon. Because you get Cure Wounds, and you can cast the spell without expending a spell slot, and you can use the spell. Mm-hmm. So, you can become a wizard with healing. Everything that everyone's always wanted. So just play a dragon, or if you wanted to make perfect flavorful sense, play a metallic dragon, dragonborn, wizard, boom, everything makes sense in the campaign, and you can now heal as a wizard.
Yeah, that's pretty...
They haven't had anything official yet, I believe, to allow you to heal as a wizard, correct? Other than aid?
I want.
Yes.
Well, aid you're not supposed to get as a wizard. It's the reason I have it is, with my characters because I multi-classed into a different class that had it.
Right.
Gotcha.
But I do believe Cure Wounds is an artificer spell.
Yeah.
There is a feat that will give you a spell that artificers have, or off the artificer list, I believe.
Yeah. So you should be able to pull off something similar with Tasha's if you take that. It'd be Artificer Initiate. Or something like that.
Okay, feat. So you could do a similar thing.
Yeah.
There's ways to do it, but this is way cooler because, you get Flavors of Dragon, too.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I think this is, like, super cool, maybe a little bit better, even, because you can use it once for free. But, yeah, that was the first time that I read this, I was like, oh, shoot. Any wizard can heal now.
Yeah.
Start as variant human wizard, take Gift of the Metallic Dragon, boom, I can heal.
Scratch that, anybody can heal now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, you could be a fighter if you really wanted.
Yeah.
Who's got their cure wounds. And then you can use your reaction to boost your AC equal to a proficiency bonus.
Yeah, it's like you sprout a pair of, like, wings and they protect you. That's pretty cool.
It's like a little parry ability that some of the bandits have in the handbook.
Yep. Oh, and it's also extended to creatures within 5 feet of you, so the
cool.
protective fighting style.
So that's
Sort
super
of
cool.
like that.
That was chapter 1, all of the character options, things we can do with our characters. Next up are the dragon magic, the new spells that were added in. Ooh. And I gotta say, reading through these spells, I'm a big fan. They added a lot of types of spells that I feel like the game kind of needed, just because I've played a lot of D&D. I've seen all the spells, pretty much. I'd like some more. I'd like to see more spells. So... through this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 new spells. And these are a lot of names I don't really know how to pronounce, but bear with me. We have Nether's Mischief, Rhyme's Binding Ice, Asher Dallin's Stride, Rowlathim's Psychic Lance, Summon Draconic Spirit, that's an easy one, Fizban's Platinum Shield, and Draconic Transformation. And I gotta say, Asher Dallin's Stride is my favorite new spell. Because I just love the idea of dancing around the battlefield with leaving a flame trail behind me.
Yeah, so what does that spell do?
So, Asher Dallin's Stride, basically, it's a concentration spell, much like Haste and whatnot. It's going to increase your speed by, I think, 20 feet, right?
Yep.
Increase your movement speed by 20 feet. You do not take attacks of opportunity as you move around the battlefield. And as you continue going around, you're going to do fire damage to those that you pass by. So... I'm absolutely in love with that because it means that if there's a lot of enemies and you're like, okay, I can just run through all of these guys and get 2 attacks on the last enemy and then run back, like you're just going to do a ton of damage as you pass through the whole battlefield with the enemies. It's just really cool too. Like imagine your ranger using a lance, dancing around the battlefield, going for a couple of slashes at some guys. As he moves between targets, he's leaving just a flame trail and burning their ankles.
Oh shoot, that is a ranger spell.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
I think it's perfect for rangers.
I think it's perfect for rangers too.
What type of magic is it? Could an Eldritch Knight have it, maybe?
It is on the wizard spell list, so if you I think Eldritch Knights get up to 4th level slots.
Yeah, so that's 3rd level.
Yeah, they could cast it at some point. Yep,
that would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, that would be very cool for an Eldritch Knight. But at the same time, I feel like an Eldritch Knight would take haste.
Yeah, well, and that is my biggest complaint with Asher Dallin's Stride. So benefits for it over haste. It's a bonus action.
You can hit more targets.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have that downside where once the spell ends, you cease to be able to take actions for 1 round, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's cool, good, but haste does give you a lot more oomph for that same 3rd level slot.
I think it depends on your build, because I think this can be better for you, given, like, if you're a solo ranger. I think as a solo ranger, it could still be better for you, because... you're going to be doing it as a bonus action, going to get your turn that turn, and you can hit a lot of targets in 1 turn. Likewise, if you plan on using this with other classes, like a wizard or a sorcerer, and you plan on using this on yourself, say you're protecting yourself with shield, and you just feel like, all right, well, I'm gonna wait until someone attacks me, use shield, and run through everyone to get a lot of damage off on everyone at one time, and run them to the other side of the battlefield. Can be very helpful in that way.
It's perfectly viable.
Yeah, I think it's a very viable spell, very balanced, not too broken, not too underwhelming. That like, oh well, I'm still just gonna take haste, you know? Because I could see myself taking it over haste in those situations.
I think this is a good spell to keep in the back of your mind when designing custom magic items.
Yes.
I think this would be a good. I'd say, to the exclusion of other
Boots of
spells, I
Striding and
probably
Burning.
I probably wouldn't take this spell just because of the reasons that we discussed. But if you get a little extra, or like as a wizard you find it in a spell book and just happen to copy it down, okay, I could see picking this up.
Or giving it to a monk who's already going to be moving around the battlefield a lot can be very useful as well. Because monks don't get as much use of haste as like the harder hitting classes do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like that could be better if you plan on using it on a monk. So like, okay, if I use this on Varys, and he goes running around the battlefield burning everybody and getting a bunch of hits in, that's going to be way better than me giving him one extra attack for his D6. You know what I mean?
We don't have to go through every single spell, but I would like to cover my favorite of the bunch here. Summon Draconic Spirit is awesome. But,
yes.
But I do love, my personal favorite is Rolathim's Psychic Lance. And so this is just...
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's another one of those psychic damage attacks, very much like... and now I'm forgetting of the name. It's like Synoptic Static or something like that. But it's a single target, and what's cool about it is... so it's got a range of 120 feet, but I just love this flavor. So it's a creature that you can see, or if you know the creature's name, you can call it out and you don't have to see them. So I'm just imagining like a battle between like a shadow dragon and a red dragon, and then the shadow dragon turns invisible and flies around the corner, and then the red dragon just calls out, "Hey, whatever your name is, I see you," and then you smack him out of it with that.
I like that.
Psychic damage.
The only similar thing I can think of are the Seeking Arrows for the Arcane Archers.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think that kind of relates to that.
Yeah, I like that. Drew, do you have a favorite spell in here?
Absolutely. So, a couple hours ago, I agreed with you, Seth, and I really liked that the fire spell. I can't remember the name of it a moment ago. All these names are super long.
Asher Dallin Stride, I believe.
Sorry.
Asher Dallin's still kind of cool, though, so I'm going to say Asher Dallin.
It's definitely a
Shardalon. No, you're probably right.
Well, it doesn't matter because my favorite spell is Rhyme's Binding Ice. It's very simple.
Pretty cool.
It's a second level spell, so very viable for anybody playing D&D.
I like the picture of it.
You basically blast a bunch of cold energy in a cone in front of you, and people make a save. Pretty simple. If they pass the save, it's half damage and it's cold damage. But if they fail the save, essentially they're frozen. Their movement is 0. So imagine there's a group of goblins or bugbears or something in front of you. You blast forward this ray of ice, this cone, almost like a white dragon's breath weapon at them, and all of a sudden all their feet are just frozen to the ground. They can't get you.
Oh, there's a picture of it right there.
Oh, yeah, so cool.
As the audience, I'll show you what it looks like too.
Which, mentioning the pictures and the artwork in this book.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, we'll sort of get to our overall thoughts eventually.
Yeah, at the very end, we'll do like sort of what we think of it. We can do an out of 10 too if we'd like.
Yeah, but I would just like to commend this book for some of the coolest artwork that I've seen in a D&D book.
I'll talk about my favorite picture later because I have one that I was running through. But yeah, there's one picture in here that I'm like, oh, I absolutely love this. And I'll point out the page number and everything when we get there.
Yeah, but they just, there's a lot of good artwork that really conveys the scale of like, that's a big dragon.
That's a big dragon, yeah. The Great Worms, yeah. I've seen that one.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
Let's be real though. The cutest picture in the book is the baby blue dragon wormling. He's really cute. I can't remember what page he's on. I think he's in the 30s, but he's so adorable.
I don't want to harp too long on magic items. So, by the way, that was the spells section. The spells are very cool. I like all of them. Take some time and read through them if you'd like to. But magic items is up next. And I don't want to harp on these for too long. There are a couple of cool ideas in here. Specifically, there's one that, for monks, actually just, ups their DC for their key features, which is absolutely amazing. But yeah, so we've got some class-specific magic items, and A couple other cool things like some new legendary items. The Flail of Tiamat is featured, so if you're interested in that, take a look. And then the Gold Canary figurine of Wondrous Power. Figurines of Wondrous Power are in the regular DM's guide as well, but this one is a legendary one and has some really, really cool abilities that it can give you.
Yeah, so it can either turn into a big canary, which I believe you can reuse it or reuse that function of it. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, you can use it every day like a regular, regular magic item, or it can turn into a gold dragon form once, and then it gets that ability back once a year has passed. But it becomes an adult gold dragon for 1 hour. That's friendly to you and your companions, which you can see why that would be
pretty strong.
Yeah, a legendary magic item.
But you have to be missing half your health, so you have to firebolt yourself a couple times in a row to get to below health, and then summon your dragon friend.
Yeah, for help.
There's no way I'd ever get to the dragon. I'd be riding that canary everywhere. Absolutely everywhere, dude. Who doesn't want to ride a canary? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's almost the more viable feature here because
there's a real ass gun.
Yeah,
So
they do have a gun. What, the Topaz Annihilator?
Cool name.
Yeah, and
Made by Smith & Wesson.
Mm-hmm. They got a few other items that are themed with some of the new dragons,
And it can disintegrate.
Yeah,
No big deal. No big deal. So I believe if you kill someone with that weapon off a basic shot, it actually turns them to dust, to where someone can only be resurrected from a
True resurrection
or
resurrection.
a wish.
Yeah.
I think it is. So it's
Yep.
pretty insane.
Yeah, so you kill someone with it, and it's like, oh, well, there's no way they're coming back, ever.
Yeah,
Well,
the Annihilator.
So, yeah, magic items in here are very cool, but I find a lot of them are situational, depending on your characters, your build, whatever you're willing to give out as a DM if you're running into these legendary items. But let's go into the Horde magic items.
Yeah, so this is maybe one of my more favorite parts of the book. So they've set up some interesting aspects relating to the Dragon's Horde, and they go even deeper into that in Chapter 4. But one of these features is the way that being in a Dragon's Horde affects a magic item. So they have this fun table here, Horde item quirks, where if you pull a magic item from a Dragon's Horde, it may have one of these weird features, something like the weapon might point back in the direction where the Horde was, like it misses home or something.
Or just
like that.
knowing Draconic.
Yeah,
You can pick it up and it's like, oh, I know Draconic now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but the main cool thing is Horde magic items that increase in power.
yeah.
So they may spend X amount of time in a Dragon's Horde and then become more powerful the longer they stay there. You think of like a magic item like Excalibur that's been power or made more powerful by the time it spends dormant, like the Master Sword from Zelda,
Yeah.
something like that. They've got that built in here, so there's these different magic items that they have like unawakened forms. They call it slumbering form, and then it becomes more powerful the longer it stays in a horde. I like this concept a lot. I've seen it, the idea of magic items that become more powerful over time, used a lot, like on supplements on DM's Guild and some other D&D creators that I follow. I more than just magic items that get more powerful in a horde, though. I really like the idea of items that become more powerful by
Training with them.
Yeah, you're training with
Yeah.
them, or like completing a task, like a sword of storms that becomes more powerful under like gale force winds or something.
Yeah, that's
and,
true. So like situational things, like, oh, this is more like, maybe it's one that's more powerful in the dark. So, it's more powerful when you're in a cave or when you're in a dungeon. But like if you do this in broad daylight, it's just a regular sword.
Yeah. So that's not what they're selling here. They're specifically selling items that get more powerful.
The longer
in a
they spend
horde.
in a dragon's horde, which is a cool idea. I don't think I'll find myself using that very often. It's a very situational, like, bit of information, but I mean, I'll keep it in my back pocket. You know, it's another little tool to use.
I do like the flavor of what we were talking about before we started the podcast, where rather than it being in the horde and growing in strength, you could also trade it to another dragon, and they could imbue it with its power, or you give it to another dragon because it's been in multiple dragons' hordes. You know, it gets different kinds of abilities. I like the idea of changing weapons with the dragons.
So for this next part, I'm actually a big fan of some of these draconic gifts. The fact that you take power from a dying dragon, sort of like in Skyrim, whenever you have a shout and you can kind of, you know, just suck in its soul, getting that shout soul. Basically, you know, the dragon dies, and let's see, it has an obvious visual manifestation. Let's see, the result of this investiture can vary widely in power and impact from a minor charm to a complete transformation. So,
yeah, and I think you're looking at a different...
The draconic gifts right here.
Well, Death of a Dragon is in Chapter 3, but that's sort of what you're talking about, I believe, when the dragon dies.
So the Death of a Dragon can result in its power taking root in a character.
Yeah.
So, if your characters are going after a powerful dragon, maybe you give that dragon a draconic gift to bestow, and it bestows it upon whichever player kills it. So whoever gets that final blow is going to get this draconic gift. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just a cool idea to power up a player and also make that kill seem really, really, like, special. And maybe you make the Skyrim effect happen where it becomes skin and bones, all of its scales come off and become part of you or something.
Yeah, that's exactly the flavor that they seem to be going for here.
Yeah, so they seem to be going for that exactly, but I mean, I'm a big fan of the idea, not only the ones that are in this book, but using my own in the future. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's cool that they specify that dragons are sort of a grantor of these sort of gifts. I don't necessarily think that they needed to include these in here, but it's a nice way to fill up some space. But they provided a lot of good options for epic boons and ways that players can be given gifts or charms or whatever in the Dungeon Master's Guide as well. I see no reason why a dragon wouldn't be able to bestow that kind of gift as well.
Yeah,
and I do like the dragon's death being a source of one of these gifts, perhaps. So definitely cool stuff. And this also goes hand in hand with like dark gifts that they had in Van Richten's guide to Ravenloft as well. So I like the ideas at play here and giving dungeon masters sort of permission to make their players' characters more powerful. Without leveling up or getting magic items or that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think directly after reading that, I decided this is actually one of my favorite features of the book. I think I will be using this in all the games I run. Personally, I don't use a lot of dragons, and if I use them, they're major bosses. They've been overhyped. They're a big bad enemy towards the end of the game, so I see no reason why, as you kill it, you couldn't get some kind of gift. It doesn't have to be anything as grand as some of the higher level things in the book were, like feats. It could be anything from just being able to speak Draconic to, I don't know, you have immunity to the dragon's breath. It could be anything in between.
I wish I had thought of something like this whenever you guys killed Blue Dragon Emerith. I was going to say Blue Dragon Eric, and then I just went straight into her name.
Yeah.
But when you guys killed Emerith back in last campaign, I wish I had something like this so that when Eknon does his big speech and strikes that final blow, like a huge a magical effect goes off and he's bestowed with a gift for it. Like, that would have been very cool and very climactic for the campaign. So I wish I had thought of something like that before, and I agree with you. I think I'll be using it in the future too.
If you want to make up for it, you can give my character now lightning abilities.
No.
Just to just to level
no,
up the playing field.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I think I'm good.
The next campaign. Okay.
Let's go into chapter 3 now, guys. This is the lore section. So it's called Dragons in Play, but I will just treat this as chapter 3, the lore.
Yeah, so really what they include here is just tips for DMs about how you might run or create dragon characters in your games. They've got tons of different tables for you to use and just different ideas and thoughts to do with what you will. There's a bit about dragon reproduction and some of the different ways that dragons can reproduce.
And what they make very prevalent in here is they give you examples and tell you this is how it could be in your world. They don't say this is how dragons do this. They say this is how dragons could do this, or they can do it these million other ways. So there's like 8 to 12 options with each of these different things, like how you should treat your dragons as gods, different dragon factions that there could be, how they reproduce, like you said earlier, and like how they would use magic and such. And I'm a big fan of that, only because like I hadn't thought of half of the things I read in this book. And there were a lot of things when I was going through that I was like, oh, I had never thought of that before. And having those ideas now for my campaigns in the future is really good to have in the back pocket. This is my favorite section because it gives me lots to work with.
Yeah, and so they do give you plenty of I'll say maybe even just a little non-committal in the way that it's presented, but they give you plenty of DM fodder for your ideas to expand upon how you want. Additionally, like we were talking about before, there's the bit about when a dragon dies, what sort of things might happen. Not just a player gets a gift necessarily, but in its death throes, maybe something negative happens, or it affects the world in some way. So that's cool.
And there's a lot of stuff for like what kind of minions a dragon would have, dragons, and the ideas for adventures that you could run with dragons. So giving you adventure hooks in a book is one thing that I'm always going to be appreciative of, because I could be writing a campaign or like an arc and be like, oh, what do I fill in here for this dragon arc? And then just be like, oh, well, here's 12 hooks for me to work off of really quick.
And if nothing else, it's a perfect one-off idea for you and a bunch of friends if you just want to play D&D really quick.
Yeah, well,
great ideas.
In terms of one-off, I would say the chapter 4 is going to give me way more one-off options, which that's where we get into like their layers, their hordes, and all of those different things. I could come up with a whole one-off just picking one of these layers in here and then rolling on each of the tables really quick to make the dragon and be like, all right, one-off created. I had to do no work.
Just pull the shit out of the book.
Yeah,
good to go.
like literally.
Yep. So this is, again, like I was saying, probably one of my favorite things is how they describe hordes. They've got cool, interesting quirks that a horde might have, or have. Additionally, regional effects that it may have. There's a bit about haunted hordes and haunted magic items within the hordes, that sort of stuff. Just a lot of good options, and also, like Seth, you were mentioning, they've got just the horde tables where they give you, all right, this is what a typical dragon's horde might look like if it's a adult or a wormling or whatever, and they give you places to roll for what sort of treasure might be included. The next section,
the Dragonomicon.
Yeah,
Draconomicon.
That again, great for one-offs. They basically go through every kind of standard dragon. So the chromatic dragons, metallic dragons, and then also the gem dragons. I believe they also include a little bit about some of the other fringe types, like shadow dragons and that sort of thing as well.
Which I did appreciate because I did not understand the lore of them very well, like the shadow dragon stuff.
They're a bit confusing. I think when you get to the Shadowfell with a lot of creatures, it does get a little kind of weird.
Yeah, so I actually wasn't aware before reading this book that there were like echoes of dragons that existed in like all kinds of different realms. You know what I mean? Like there could be an Emrith in the Feywild, or like let's go with Felgalos. There could be a Felgalos on the material plane, the Feywild, and the Shadowfell that all exist, and one of them could do something that affects the other two. And I was like, oh, that is awesome, because you could have an enemy that you go after in a campaign at early level, get rid of that enemy, and oh no, the two brothers, like the brother and sister, the echoes in the other realms, have found out about this, and now they're after you.
Yeah, so, and that's one of the big lore points that they've, that's, as far as I understand, this is new to this book, is the idea of echoes of dragons, which may not even, like you were saying, they could exist over other planes, but even like between material planes. So like an idea of Bahamut exists in Forgotten Realms and in Greyhawk and in Dragonlance,
right?
Or
Eberron.
Yeah, exactly. So your dragons could also have that sort of thing going on, and as we're sort of talking about this, one of the the biggest fruition that this comes to in the book is the idea of great worms, which shows up in the bestiary. I think we can sort of start talking about that.
Yeah.
as
So
well.
let me 1 second. As far as the Draconomicon, I like the section. I'm not gonna use it that much because it's just a bunch of tables for each of the dragons. I don't learn that much. What I like with these lore books is I like to read the paragraphs about like the lore and everything, and all of the lore came in the earlier sections. While here, I get maybe like 2 or 3 columns of lore, and then the rest is all tables. So I think the Draconomicon's cool, but yes, the second half of the book, the Bestiary. So this is chapter 6, I believe, right?
And additionally, just before we close the book on the Draconomicon, I do like that they have maps for pretty much any kind of dragon.
It's
lair.
always my favorite whenever they provide me maps.
Yeah, so that's nice and helpful and handy. You can get your maps from wherever you like, but they give plenty of fodder for that as well in there. But yes, so the Bestiary. There's a ton of monsters in here. One of which being the Great Worm, which I'll go ahead and talk about that a little bit.
The idea of a Great Worm is really cool.
Yeah, so it's like an ancient dragon that has become aware of its other echoes and has either absorbed them or ascended with them to take all of the aspects of itself and then become this heightened, almost godlike dragon.
It's a Voltron dragon.
Yeah, of massive size. So it's just really cool. I like the idea of different echoes. It sort of speaks to the multiverse. You can imagine a Spider-Man where all the different Spider-Men fuse together and then become the idealized version of him. That's sort of what's going on here. So just really cool.
I'm sorry, that was so funny. I'm just imagining Spider-Man just fusing with Miles Morales and Spider-Gwen.
Oh, no.
And becoming just a 3 times larger giant Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Perfect.
a giant Spider-Man that raises cities to the ground.
That's what they
he just
decided
webs
to
them
do.
up.
They decided to take these ancient dragons, like, you know what? They're not strong enough.
They
Let's
should be
make
Spider-Man.
Great Worms. Why? Yeah, and let's give them Spider-Man abilities. Why not?
But what does get me weird about the Great Worm is I feel like they should be a higher CR.
Really?
Well, yeah, so here is my 2 cents about... I'll discuss the Great Worms, but also a lot of the monsters in the Bestiary. So they're all dragon-themed. Big shocker there. But one interesting thing, I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but I've been waiting to talk about this. The Frightful Presence is gone from all of these dragons.
I didn't
even
notice.
the aspect of Tiamat, CR30 dragon, with 5 heads, the typical Tiamat that we all know and love. No, that's not scary. You wouldn't be frightened of that. Which so on the one hand, thinking about this as a player, I love that.
No,
my least favorite thing about fighting dragons as a player is everyone roll a wisdom save. Fuck, I'm frightened.
No, I was gonna say that. I'm glad that's been done.
Yeah.
Because I think the Frightful Presence is useful, but as a DM, it's useful because sometimes a dragon can be a little underwhelming unless you have something like that if you don't run it correctly. But if you've designed your dragon correctly, and you Frightful Presence and everyone fails, TPK.
Yeah,
I've had dragon fights where I've had a player be down for the whole entire encounter because they failed their Frightful Presence and they couldn't fight the whole time. And that's just crippling, honestly. It's crippling to the session, it's crippling to the player. I'd rather add some minions to the fight,
I agree.
Add some draconic minions to the fight or something, and boom, you've got it.
Which, if your players are going up against a Great Worm and you add minions, you're sadistic. And you shouldn't be doing that anyway. But I guess tying into the Frightful Presence...
I feel like my Great Worm would have some minions, too.
Of course,
right?
yeah. I'm thinking, in regards to their Frightful Presence, right? With other dragons, it prevents you from getting up to them. It makes you want to run away. It makes it harder for you, basically, to engage the dragon, right? When you get these Great Worms, you don't want to engage the dragon. You don't want to go step up to this thing and start wailing on it. It's scary as it is, so I frankly don't think they need it.
No, I agree. I think it's a smart decision on Wizards' part. Thank you, Wizards. Not sponsored.
Yeah, and so talking about that, here's my my game theory going forward. So it's my current understanding for Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse. That's coming out in January or whatever.
Is that really January?
Yeah, so
I'm buying that.
Yeah,
now.
so they're gonna be enhancing and revisiting a lot of the old monster stat blocks, and then adding some new ones as well. It is my understanding. I think they might be going back to those original dragons and providing updated stat blocks, which aren't in this book. They don't have the original metallic and chromatic dragon, but I'm thinking they're going to remove that frightful presence because it is just so annoying.
Yeah.
If anything,
it makes a dragon fight annoying and not fun, and dragon fight should be scary and fun.
Yeah, I would think like a shadow dragon, sure. That's like its whole thing. It's affected by the Shadowfell. That could be frightening. Yeah. That's fine. Or even like an ancient red dragon, yeah, that can be frightening. But not every adult and ancient dragon.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Maybe it should just be more situational rather than universally dragons.
Yep. But anyway, there are a ton of monsters to go through in the bestiary. We won't touch on all of them, but I'd like to discuss some of our favorite things that are in here and some other things that we noticed. If anyone wants to start, I've been talking a lot.
I would like to talk about the eye drake.
Oh, that's so gross.
Because
though.
one thing that I love in D&D is beholders. I love beholders. I might even go to say that the beholder category is my favorite category of monsters.
They are really cool.
I don't use them as much as I'd like to, but I love me a good beholder. And taking a look at this eye drake, it is creepy. It's funny to me. It's hilarious because just imagine a beholder and say an adult dragon and a beholder are in this like eternal conflict. They keep bullying each other, and now it's bothering the beholder so much that he's having dreams about him. And now not only does the beholder have to deal with the dragon, but he's having dragon babies because of his stupid fucking dreams. It's so funny. It's
Don't
so
bully
good.
Beholders. You end up getting these things.
It's good flavor if you want to make a beholder have like a dragon themed beholder and like actually give a beholder a horde and such, because it's gotten so hooked on the idea that it's part of this dragon, like this whole interlocking combat with a dragon. It can make a good mission for like a mid-level character. Be like, okay, you can choose to help the dragon or the beholder, and they're in this conflict, and you have two separate dungeons made for them.
That's pretty cool.
There's some. It gave me cool ideas just reading the eye drake thing. I love the eye drake. I think it's funny. I will probably use it.
Yeah, I will say, the design's a little, it's a little hard for me to,
perfect.
I love it.
It's
I
perfect.
love it. It's perfect.
But I do love, so it's a CR8. It's just a little bit weaker than a typical beholder. It has a breath attack rather than a beholder's gaze. So it's got some cool bits and pieces about it. I'll say that you guys are alone in the excitement about the eye drake, though. That, in my opinion, that's sort of a, we've seen a mind witness and every flavor of beholder at this point,
Except a dragon one.
Mm-hmm. so
now I have my dragon one.
What I would like to talk about is not a dragon at all, but it's my favorite monster in here, the horde mimic. So,
my god, it's so cool.
It's
so
a mimic.
cool.
Except it's an entire dragon's horde is the mimic. And this thing is as powerful as an eye drake.
This thing's like, hey, I could just be one chest, but you know what? I'm gonna be this whole room.
So what I love about it is that it can communicate in common or telepathically. I'm thinking like a horde mimic, right? That and they've got like this image here of like a magic sword on top of this pile of gold. I'm thinking like you talk to your players like, I am Excalibur, the magical weapon of whatever, and then like you call out the paladin by name. Come, claim your prize, and they're like, okay, magic sword. And then you walk up, you get stuck to the sword as you grab it. Big mouth opens up underneath you, and now
everyone's rolling initiative, baby.
You're being eaten by this entire horde.
No, I love that. That's what I thought of when I saw the picture too. It's just like you go over that thing and it just eats you alive. But no, I agree with you. This is a very cool mimic, and I wish we just had a boat mimic now. I want a ship mimic, an entire boat.
That's so bad. That is so bad.
A house. I want a haunted house, but it's all a mimic.
I don't want that. That's too scary.
No.
That's too scary of a monster. I can't do it.
Drew, do you have a favorite monster?
Oh, okay. So one of my personal favorites is let me lead up to it, right? Everyone loves a Hydra, right? They're not super strong or anything, and not super annoying as a player. But you know what? Let's make it a Draco Hydra instead.
A Hydra that can fly.
Absolutely. Let's let it fly, elemental damage. Let's give it extra opportunity attacks. All that wondrousness. It basically looks like a baby Tiamat, is what it is. It's awful. I think it's a CR11. This thing is so cool. Just think about a Hydra.
It's cool.
But the heads are dragons.
I would love to use it, especially on a group of players that have that aren't any of us. I would love to use that on a group of new players who have no clue what they're getting themselves into. They finally played to level 10, and I throw this baby at them.
Oh my god.
And they're like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's just a wyvern with 5 heads, and it's green." No, I like that too. I also had another one that I thought was pretty cool. The Dragon Follower section. I love any character-based NPCs. I love things that I can use as NPC stat blocks.
Mm-hmm.
So any of these, these could be 3 separate characters for me. The Dragon Blessed, Dragon Chosen, and Dragon Speaker. So I like them. The Dragon Blessed is very cool. It's got a couple of different spells you can cast. And the idea that a dragon actually bestowed magic on a servant and said, "Hey, you represent me. You're blessed by me." That's really cool to me.
Yep.
As far as the Chosen and Speaker go, they're cool. I'll use them at some point, probably in some sort of combat. Maybe these guys will come in. Maybe they'll be defending a dragon when a group of adventurers is attacking them. I think they're cool. I like human-based or humanoid-based NPCs and stat blocks, so I will definitely use all 3 of these.
I agree. I think they're good minions for sure.
I know that we're almost an hour into this episode at this point. But I should mention, since we haven't already, a big portion of this bestiary and the entire book is dedicated to these gem dragons. So if you haven't heard of the gem dragons, sort of their they do add in the foreword to the book sort of like a revised creation myth that you may apply to any of your campaign settings, but they include they basically have this poem that speaks of Bahamut and Tiamat when they created the universe, and then they had the first dragon that they create is
Sardior.
Sardior, the ruby dragon, which eventually was killed by the human gods and that sort of thing, and then his death gave birth to the different gem dragons. So what they've got here is amethyst dragons, crystal dragons, emerald dragons, sapphire dragons, and topaz dragons. And then they also add a couple other different variant of dragons. The deep dragons, which are native to the Underdark. I think those are pretty cool. And then moonstone dragons, which are not fairy dragons,
Astronauts.
but they're actually native to the Feywild and that sort of thing. So they're super cool as well. What was that last monster that I just had to talk about? I just had it a second. Oh, yes. So my probably personal favorite and something I'm gonna squeeze it in here at some point once you guys forget that I've talked about it here. The Ghost Dragon is just so cool. And it's the one monster in this whole book. As far I may have missed it somewhere else, but it does have a frightening feature locked to its breath weapon, where it I believe it does cold damage and then can frighten depending on if you fail to save or not. So it's just, finally,
it's great. It's great. I love it.
Yeah.
And the idea of using it after you've killed a strong dragon and it comes back because it's so attached to this whatever, its body and the place it's at and its horde, that it comes back as a ghost dragon. Very, very flavorful. Very, very fun.
Yeah. Additionally, the Hollow Dragon is
I
really
read
cool.
that. I read that.
Yeah, which is like a metallic dragon, but basically like a revenant.
Yeah.
So it comes back because it's got unfinished business. Not necessarily evil, but it's got something that it needs to do. And it's just like the hollow.
It's like a flame
plates.
skull too, where it when it dies, if you kill it, it comes back 6 days later, or 1d6 days later, and it reforms at the head. So all of its parts, if they're within 6 miles of each other, teleport back to the body and reform.
Which I think would be a crazy cool adventure, defeating this dragon and then separating its body parts to different towns or planes so that it can't reform.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And then maybe eventually some people bring it back, by accident or on purpose. Should we talk about the Draconians at all? So we get more humanoid-like dragons in this book called the Draconians. They're basically minion-like servants to a dragon who did not want to have offspring but has eggs and ends up cursing their eggs in order to create minions known as Draconians. When they die, they explode. And
They explode?
They explode. Yes, they explode, dealing damage.
Yeah, and so that maybe they were stolen and cursed by a mage, but I think the idea is one dragon egg gives birth to multiple Draconians.
Yes.
Which would be the benefit of just not letting it become a regular dragon. I'm going to be honest, y'all, I hate this. I think we've got enough human-looking dragon things. We've got Dragonborn, half-dragons, Abishai, lizard folk, other types of lizard humanoid people, like salamanders, newts. I'm done with it. We need no more dragon people. These are fine. These are fine stat blocks.
I get it. I looked at them. They're cool minions.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree. Let's get some new stuff.
Yeah.
I think they're cool. We get another dragon mage stat block, and a couple more things that these minions can do that others can't. What you said before was cool. Having a mage who stole the dragon egg and cursed it to make draconian servants. That's probably where I would use this. That's probably the one and only place I would use this.
Yeah, but it's good for low level. They're all fairly lower CR monsters.
And then let's talk about the art on page 180 and how bad this picture is.
What is that? Well, it's just another draconian.
It's a draconian, but he's got scary furry purple scales.
Yeah,
I'm good. No thanks.
Yeah.
I won't run that.
Anyways, let's get to our final thoughts on the book, guys. I want to start with Drew. I want to know Drew's final thoughts on the book.
I'll be honest, I was kind of like, I'm not sure about it. And then I really sat down and read through it for about an hour, and I loved it. I think it's a fantastic book. It dives so far into extra flavor and lore that you can use in your campaigns, your world building, to really get that nice feel of a dragon setting. If you're, the average player, you might not... This might not be the first book you get, just because there's not a lot of, class options and things like that. But if you're world building, if you're a DM, you love dragons, this is the book to do it.
I've got a lot of thoughts here. So now that we've sort of laid out everything that this book has to offer, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm a little. I'm not underwhelmed. I'm perfectly whelmed with this book.
Perfectly whelmed.
So there's a lot of interesting options here. They give you good DM thoughts for dragon specific stuff. My biggest issue is. I feel like Wizards really wanted to add in some lore to bring in the gem dragons because people think gem dragons are cool. And so they needed to justify a whole ass book to do just that. So there's some good ideas in here, but this almost feels like a very high quality premium DM's Guild supplement where they give you some player options and they've got some cool tables for you to roll on and all that, but ultimately, I don't think that I needed this many options for dragons. I'm not going to run a whole campaign with just dragons because my players are going to get sick of it. Dragons are a sometimes food, and when used, sparingly and very specifically, they're awesome. But maybe I'll pull one or two of these from here, but I don't know about you guys, but we barely use dragons as is. We haven't fought a red dragon ever, and I don't want to, turn me and my players off to that just by muddying the waters with, all right, now let's run into 6 more different types of dragons. Okay. I felt the ones that we had were fairly special already. That said, no... not speaking ill of this book, because I do like the quality of everything in here. It's awesome. Like I was saying, I love the monk subclass. I really like the ranger one. It's cool. The magic items and ideas at play here are awesome. The artwork is fantastic. But ultimately, I don't know if this was a whole book. I almost feel like they could have thrown gem dragons into the next monster manual and called it there.
I have thoughts as well. I agree with both of you in that I like the book. It was fun for me to read. As a forever DM, I DM every single Friday and play maybe once, maybe 6 or 7 times a year. As a forever DM, it gave me a lot of ideas and stuff that I can use in my campaigns. Maybe I would consider, using the echoes that they brought up with characters as well, not just dragons. Maybe I would consider using some of these magic items and reflavoring them and the ideas they brought along with it. But I do agree that there's a lot of stuff in here, and I wouldn't run an entire campaign based on only dragons. Would I use some of these for some one-shots for some new players? Hell yeah, I would. Would I use some of this stuff for one single dragon encounter that maybe took, 10 to 15 sessions to solve the arc with the dragon? Yeah, absolutely I would. Maybe you guys stumble across a horde. Maybe you guys stumble across something like that. But I feel like this book is very much a DM book. This is a book for DMs, and it's there if you need supplemental things to learn about dragons. I didn't really need it. I really enjoyed it. I like stat blocks, but I do find that the fact that my favorite monster in here was the eye drake is a little bit telling. So I love seeing giant stat blocks, and we get a lot of those in here. We get the great worms, which is probably, other than the me liking the eye drake and some of the subclasses, my favorite thing otherwise is the great worm. I think the great worm is a great idea of multiversal dragons who have literally traveled across planes to find their echoes. So that's super duper cool, and I like the idea of great worms. The rest of it, I've seen a Tiamat stat block before, and this looks very similar. I've seen a Bahamut stat block, and the Draco Hydra. We do get some cool things in the bestiary, but otherwise, yeah, it's good. It's a good book.
Yeah, sort of my thoughts on it as well. We didn't mention as well, but with those great worms, they do have they're considered mythic creatures. So like
I love the mythic action.
Yeah,
mythic action. Yeah. It's a phase 2 boss fight. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, which they added that in Mythic Odysseys of Theros. They had some of those high-level Greek mythology creatures had this sort of thing. So I like to see that they're still using that idea. It wasn't just a one-off.
And without going too much more into it, the mythic actions basically give the boss a second wave. It gives it health back, gives it some extra abilities, and gives it back a legendary resistance type of stuff. So
when you beat that god, it just it wasn't really that hard.
And you really got to double tap the god. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was running into that a lot with my campaigns. Where my players were just steamrolling gods. Like, you know what? Let's give him god level 2.
Okay, so I'd like to rate out of 10. I want to know out of 10. What do you think, Drew?
I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Zach?
I feel like anything below a 7 means that I didn't like it. So I'll give it a 7. But overall, I think more than out of 10, I would like to say this is worth a purchase as a DM. It's only $30 at launch.
On Amazon.
On Amazon. Or I believe if you buy it from the Wizard site.
And I already said it once, but this episode was not sponsored by Wizards. We probably should have said that close to the beginning. We are not doing this as a sponsorship.
We might even add it in post. We'll see.
Yeah. And for me, just to narrow it out, because I'm on the same page as both of you, 7.25. I will rate it 7.25. Our full rating for Fizban's Treasury of Dragons is 7.25. And I think that's fair. I think we all liked it. We liked reading through it as DMs ourselves. But realistically, a player doesn't need to buy this book. Have them purchase Tasha's in the Player's Handbook first.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much for joining us this week on, Table Talk Friday. We'll be back in a couple of days for a regularly scheduled episode. This was a bonus episode, and quite a long one at that. So, thank you guys very much for listening. Character, take it away.
No, give it back.
Thank you for listening to Table Talk Friday. For more D&D content, follow these humans on Twitter at TableTalk Friday and be one of the first to write into the show by sending in your questions and episode suggestions. Send these inquiries to tabletalkfriday@gmail.com. And last but not least, come back next Friday for another episode. Thank you.